BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi. Hello everybody, welcome back, good morning. We're going to have a look at the total 2 for the most part and just an idea of what we think could potentially happen with crypto in general, rather than just thinking about Bitcoin and halving and price action. Let's just think about what it is that we're seeing here on the total 2. So this is basically all crypto excluding Bitcoin. And what we see is we've got ourselves basically a symmetrical triangle forming, which is a 50-50 type vibe. You know the deal, 50-50, breakout, breakdown. I know that's not particularly useful for anybody. Hang on a minute, I need to know exactly what's happening right now. Well, no one knows that. That is the number one rule. I think you might as well take away if you're wanting to be a trader. Nobody knows. You can tune into me or anybody, and if somebody's talking about something with absolute conviction, then they're deluded. Nobody knows. We can have an idea of what's happening, and this is the best idea for the total 2. There's wicks that come down towards a 50 simple and a 50 exponential. There's candle bodies that are being supported on this uptrend. We've got rejections on this descending portion of resistance, and so far we're battling, if we zoom right in nice and close, we're battling with a variety of moving averages over the last few days. Big sharp rejection from the top, nice big supports from the bottom, and basically we're in the center of the range. Now with the majority of these sort of formations, you want to see a breakout toward way before the end of the apex, normally about 70% of the way through. So if we think about this 36 days, really we should have seen a breakout with conviction already had. So it kind of renders this formation not obsolete. And I know people always like to say, you'll see it on Telegram, with people with very few followers. They'll say, look what's happening, it's gonna blow. Well, the chances of it blowing at this point now, let's just say if we broke out, you'd see a breakout and probably a fake out and then a breakdown, and then it's at that point that we would see an uptrend. Same thing as you'd imagine if we saw a breakdown. Oh, it's bearish as hell. No, it's not. It's good. It's good to go. So look, that's the sort of thing I'd expect to actually, obviously you've seen both of those breaking and resolving to the upside, but the point is that it's not a breakout trade at this point when we get to the end of it. So we've got to think about it in terms of trend, really. What am I doing? So what's the trend looking like? Well, at the moment, it's kind of flat. This area here, we've got a 10 exponential, 7 simple, 21 exponential. We've got lots of moving averages all in this one main area, 1 trillion 15 billion. I'm sure there's an easier way to say that. And that's basically where we're sitting, flat. It's flat here. If we start to build a base above here, then there's a chance that we do start to build the trend and carry on to the upside. Let's have a look at momentum. Momentum is kind of like neither here nor there. It's kind of what you'd expect in a 50-50 formation, isn't it, really? I'd love to be able to make this video and say, hey, guess what? The total market cap 2 is getting ready for a massive, huge, epic breakout, and we're all going to be massively rich. Immediately, I'd love to be able to say that, but I can't. So we take it down to a 4-hourly, and what we see is a bit more of a trend established. 200 simple, 200 exponential, retested, almost a V-shaped recovery, but not. Then wicked down below, and then bounced, forming another lower high. And another support from, again, the horizontal and the 200 exponential. And again, we're fighting with a massive amount of moving averages, all in the same place. 50, 21, 10, 200 and 20, all in the same place. Now, we are seeing a potential. It's not confirmed yet. Maybe at some point today, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe a trend signal form on the 4-hourly Ichimoku cloud. That would be good, because that would mean, all right, maybe we're going to get a trend and that we do continue on. So that's a nod in favour of bullish upside and continuation to the upside. But it's only a very small one. It's based on a 4-hourly. And again, it's not a confirmed signal yet. It's just something we're just going to watch for. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin dominance then, which also helps us understand what altcoins might be doing in the short term. So we've got bearish divergence over here. Again, it's just a 4-hourly. It's nothing massive. But maybe we'll move down towards 54% dominance again. Maybe. Daily is a trend that's only wanting to move up. So I want altcoins to move. Trust me, I want them to move. I've got a handful of altcoins in my trading account at the moment that I really want to get rid of before the halving kicks in about a week from now. I don't want to be overexposed. Well, I'm not overexposed at the moment. Absolutely not. But I don't want to be any more exposed than I am. I want to be less exposed the closer we get to the halving, which to a lot of people might sound counterintuitive. You're like, hang on a minute. The moment the halving takes place, we're going to go to the absolute mothering moon. Well, we might do, but it's a gamble, and I don't like to gamble, to be honest with you. I like to trade based on what I've thought, what I see, what I expect, not on an event like that. And historically, the halving is a non-event. It happens. We lead into the halving. We're kind of bullish leading into the halving. The halving happens. Bit of disappointment that nothing happened immediately. People start to sell. Consolidation starts to kick in, and then it's only after that consolidation is finished that the economic reality of that halving really starts to kick in, and we go parabolic potentially. And that's how it's happened in the past, and it's always the same thing, isn't it? Really, there's always people out there, popular YouTubers, and that's fine to do it, because it's perfectly fine to assume that this time is going to be different for X, Y, and Z, and we know that this time is already different because we've got all these ETFs and stuff like that, and we've got countries now that accept it as legal tender, so it is different. It is more bullish, and that should keep the price of Bitcoin at least from consolidating as deep as it has done in the past, because, well, let's face it, retail has weak hands. Most retail don't have a plan, do they? So with with that, they end up buying high prices and selling low prices because they're emotionally driven. That's fine. This is something we've all got to get our head around and try and manage as traders, because otherwise we'll fall for that trick each and every time. So I'm always saying to people, never get used to high prices. Don't get complacent. Getting used to high prices will be a problem. Anyway, the daily is my preference based on what we saw on the 4-hourly and the daily, and I looked for the daily to move back up to 55.18% dominance. This is still a good chart, and I have no reason to doubt it. We broke out of this before the end of the apex over here, and you can see the continuation from that. So a big burst up, came down to retest the descending portion of this trend line here. And picked up from there. So this is a technical breakout of a symmetrical or a horizontal. It doesn't matter whichever way you look at it. It's a breakout, a proper breakout, way before the apex, and so continuation is most likely. So if we take ourselves over to the weekly, this is my main area where I'll be looking to get back into altcoins. To start scaling back in for long-term positions, because if we look back in time, we have a lot of relevance around this area. So resistances, major supports, big moves up, major support, big move up, and obviously a big breakdown here. Boosh. So this area and the 57 towards 58% dominance is key. And look, we can go even higher than that if we do make our way up to 63, 62, 63, 64% dominance. Going crazy on that one as well. Huge areas to buy from. It doesn't mean that buying altcoins down here is not a good idea for the long haul. I just think as we get closer and closer to the halving, we're not showing any particular signs of strength on the total too. Bitcoin is still the leader, and with that, you should expect basically altcoins to move in the shadows of Bitcoin. There's always going to be one that you look at and go, but you said altcoins weren't going to do as well, and I just saw Jasmine go up 10, 20%. Of course, you'll see these things happen from time to time. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I just mean that as a market overall, it doesn't appear that there's any kind of continuation for altcoins that are going to surpass Bitcoin's strength. Now, it doesn't mean you can't try it. Each altcoin has its individual chart. You can take it on face value if you want to. And if you want to look at that closer tonight, we're doing a Patreon live stream. If you want to join that, links in the description below. And that's basically what we do for an hour or two. Twice a week. We'll look at whatever altcoin or any chart, whatever chart you want me to look at. We'll try and digest the price action. But overall, it's still a Bitcoin-driven market, and the closer we get to that halving, the more riskier it looks to me. So just finishing off with Bitcoin itself. It's continuing to be looking green. It's looking nice, and I would be looking for this to make its way up to 71,500, and this is where we would decide if we're going to break. And if we do break from here, we go up to the top of this range. First target is 76,500, and then probably straight on and up from that into the 80s. And like I said a week ago, quite easily can see this going into the 90s, the lower 90s. And like I said, it's all there for thou to see. If you go back on my channel, you'll see me talking about that like a week ago. People found it impossible to expect. It's just a number. It's not it's not me saying that's exactly where it's going to go, but it's actually not that far away. You know, if we think about things in terms of percents, we're only talking a 30% move really, to around that $92,000 zone. Again, it sounds it sounds like a number which is just ridiculous, but really, if you think about it in terms of percents, it's 30%. It's nothing, is it really? It's absolutely nothing. 30%, you'll see that in an altcoin in a day. You can see that in Bitcoin in a day once it breaks the sell walls of its previous all-time high. It's how these things happen. Anyway, I'll leave it there. There's nothing much more to say at this stagnant moment in the market at this time in the morning. But it is Friday, and we've had that CPI. If we're going to bounce on stocks, we should see continuation of that right now. The one last thing I'll say to you is that the Dixie has surpassed now the resistance that I thought would be rejected from. So there is continued strength on the Dixie, which is going to add a bit of pressure to stocks and everything, basically anything that's pegged against the dollar. So we have to think about that. We should have seen the rejection. Well, I suppose we did see it yesterday, but it's strong and the dollar keeps pushing up. So maybe this is time to really start to think about limiting positions and staying in dollars, which is exactly what I am. 80% in dollars. Why wouldn't you be? It's a protective move, but also if dollars are moving up or gaining value, then it's a win-win, isn't it, really? It might not be the billion% move that you want from your MEXC shitcoin, but it is still a good call if you're looking to not just protect yourself from what could be downside overall after the halving. You're also getting good value for money because the dollar is moving up bit by bit, slowly but surely. Right, I'm going to leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. Maybe I'll see you on the Patreon tonight. Maybe I won't. Otherwise, just have a nice day. Take it easy.